While most of the world sleeps, something inside the body goes quietly to work. It does not announce itself. It does not ask for thanks. From around 10 o'clock at night, the liver, that quiet engine tucked beneath the ribs on the right side, begins the hardest shift of its entire day. It filters the blood. It breaks down the medications taken hours earlier. And it makes one decision that almost no one is aware of. It decides whether the fat from the evening meal gets burned for fuel or packed away into storage where it does not belong. That single decision, made in the dark, every single night, shapes the health of millions of people who have no idea it is even happening. And after the age of 60, it matters far more than most people are ever told. Right now, roughly 1 in 3 adults is walking around with extra fat quietly building up inside the liver. They feel fine. They go to work, they raise their grandchildren, they take their evening walk. Nothing hurts, because the liver carries no pain nerves inside it. It cannot send a warning. It cannot cry out. So it simply absorbs the damage in silence, year after year, until the day a routine blood test finally whispers what the body never could. One doctor spent 15 years watching that silence turn into something serious. 15 years of patients who did everything they believed was right, who cut the wine and walked the dog and swore off fried food, and still watched their numbers climb for reasons no one had ever bothered to explain to them. He saw the pattern long before they did, and he learned something that changed the way he spoke to every patient who sat across from him. The fat inside a struggling liver is not a life sentence. The liver is one of the few organs in the human body that can genuinely repair itself, once a person stops overloading it and starts giving it what it actually needs. He watched people in their 70s turn the whole thing around, not with surgery, not with a shelf of pills, with something far simpler and far closer to the kitchen than anyone expected. That is what this story is really about. The fruits a person can eat in the quiet hour before bed that help the liver clear that fat while they sleep. Some of them are exactly what you would guess. A few will genuinely surprise you. And one of them is a fruit that most people over 60 have been quietly warned to stay away from, for a reason that turns out to be only half true. At the very end, there is a simple 2-minute bedtime recipe that folds the best of them into a single glass. But before a single fruit is named, there is one thing the doctor wished every patient understood from the start. It is not only what a person eats at night, it is when. Hi viewers, before we go any further, answer one honest question in the comments. Do you sleep well at night? Yes or no? Just one word. Because by the end of this, you may understand why your answer matters more to your liver than you ever imagined. Now, here is the part almost no one explains inside a rushed 12-minute appointment. The body has a window every night when the liver is meant to empty its tank and clean house. What a person hands it right before that window opens can either set it free or hand it work it can never finish by morning. And once you understand how that window works, you will see exactly why the fruit at the very end of this list, the forbidden one, may be the most important of them all. To understand the fruits, a person first has to understand the factory. The liver is the busiest organ in the human body, and it runs the night shift. During the day, it handles whatever comes through the door, every meal, every drink, every pill. But at night, when a person stops eating and finally lies still, the real work begins. This is the fasting window, the long, quiet stretch between the last bite at night and the first bite in the morning. And it is during this stretch that the liver is meant to do its heavy lifting. It pulls fat out of storage and burns it for fuel. It packages up the waste from the day and clears it out. It repairs its own cells from the ordinary wear of being alive. That is what is supposed to happen. Now picture what actually happens in most homes. The dishes are done, the television is on, and somewhere around 9 or 10 o'clock comes the bowl of ice cream, the handful of crackers, the tall glass of juice that feels harmless. And in that single moment, the liver is flooded with sugar and fat at the exact instant it was preparing to clean house. So instead of burning fat through the night, it spends the whole night storing it. One night will not hurt anyone. But repeat that for months, for years, and the fat begins to build up inside the liver cells themselves. There is a name for that. Doctors call it hepatic steatosis. In plain language, it simply means fat sitting where it does not belong. And here is where the story turns dark and quiet at the same time. Left alone, that fat does not just sit there politely. It begins to irritate the liver. The irritation has its own name, steatohepatitis, which a person can think of as a liver that has started to smolder. And over years, that slow, low heat lays down scar tissue. Scar tissue is the part that does not come back. That is the line no one wants to cross. But here is the mercy hidden inside all of this. The early stage, the fat stage, is reversible. The window where a person can still turn the whole thing around is wide open for most people listening right now, and they do not even know they are standing in it. The evening is the daily chance to use that window instead of waste it. Every fruit in this story does at least one of 3 jobs during that overnight window. The first job is to deliver antioxidants. These are the compounds that mop up the damage left behind when the liver processes all that fat, the quiet internal rust that builds inside tired cells. The second job is to carry soluble fiber, which feeds the good bacteria in the gut and cuts down the flood of fat and waste traveling up toward the liver in the first place. That connection between the gut and the liver runs in a straight line, through a vein called the portal vein, and a calm gut sends the liver a calm signal. The third job is the most remarkable. Certain plant compounds flip an internal switch inside the liver, telling it to go back to burning fat instead of hoarding it. And every fruit here is low enough in sugar that a person can eat it at night without spiking their blood sugar right before sleep. The first one does something none of the others can. It works on the liver while a person is completely asleep. The first fruit is the kiwi. Most people think of it as nothing more than a tart green fruit with a lot of vitamin C. It does have that. A single kiwi covers most of a day's vitamin C, and that matters here, because the liver burns through antioxidants all night as it processes fat. But that is not the reason it earns the bedtime slot. The real reason is what it does to sleep. Kiwi is one of the few foods naturally rich in serotonin, the calming chemical the brain leans on to wind down at night. Researchers had people eat 2 kiwis about an hour before bed, and within a few weeks, those people were falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. That is the hidden link. The liver does its deepest repair during deep sleep. So a fruit that deepens sleep is quietly protecting the liver across the entire night. Eat 1 or 2 whole kiwis about an hour before bed. The skin holds much of the fiber, so a quick rinse and a rub, and it goes down easily. But the next fruit has the strongest direct evidence for the liver itself. That fruit is the blueberry. The deep blue color comes from a pigment called anthocyanin, and that pigment is one of the most liver-protective compounds known in any food. In studies, concentrated anthocyanins lowered the very enzymes that signal a liver under stress, the markers called ALT and AST that climb when liver cells are inflamed. Blueberries do 2 things at once. They cool the irritation inside the liver, and they appear to slow the liver's own machinery for making and storing new fat. A small handful, about half a cup, stirred into plain yogurt or eaten on their own. Frozen works just as well as fresh, often better, because the berries are picked riper. And now comes the first real surprise. Because the next fruit is one most people do not even realize is a fruit at all. The avocado. Yes, the avocado is a fruit, and for the liver, it may be the most useful one on this entire list. Most people avoid it the moment they hear the word fat. That fear costs them dearly. The fat inside an avocado is monounsaturated fat, the same friendly family as olive oil, and it actually helps pull fat out of the liver rather than pack it in. But the avocado does something no other fruit here does as well. It is rich in glutathione, the master antioxidant the liver relies on to clean the blood of everything that passes through it. The body makes glutathione on its own, but production falls with age, and a fatty liver burns through it fast. Eating a fruit that delivers it is direct support for the exact system working overnight. 1/4 to half an avocado in the evening is plenty, mashed with a little lemon, or on a small piece of whole grain toast. So far, every fruit has played defense, calming the damage and slowing the fat down. The next one plays offense. If this is the first time anyone has actually explained why the liver needs help, take a second to like this video and subscribe. And if someone in the family is fighting their weight or their blood sugar, send it to them, because a struggling liver often sits quietly underneath both. The next fruit is red grapes, and the color is the entire point. The skin of a red or purple grape is loaded with resveratrol, one of the most studied compounds in all of aging and liver research. Resveratrol activates internal switches that tell the liver's cells to burn fat for energy instead of hoarding it, and it calms the irritation that comes from processing fat overnight. The green grape carries far less, so reach for the red and purple ones. But portion is everything here, because grapes are sweeter than the rest. About 10 to 15 grapes is the right evening dose. A quiet trick is to freeze them, because frozen grapes take longer to eat and feel like a real dessert, which keeps a person far away from the actual ice cream. The next fruit works through a back door almost no one thinks about: the gut. The apple is one of the finest sources of soluble fiber there is, in the form of pectin. When that pectin reaches the gut, it feeds the good bacteria, and those bacteria send signals up the portal vein, telling the liver to calm down and store less fat. The skin carries quercetin, an antioxidant shown to reduce fat buildup and irritation in the liver. Peel the apple, and most of that goes in the bin, so eat it whole. A medium apple in the evening is ideal, and a tart one like a Granny Smith holds even more of the good fiber with less sugar. Then comes the pomegranate. The fruit almost no one reaches for at night, mostly because it has a reputation for being a nuisance to eat. It is worth the small effort. Those little ruby seeds are packed with compounds called punicolagens, some of the most potent antioxidants found in any fruit, stronger ounce for ounce than green tea or red wine. A fatty liver is a liver under quiet internal stress, and pomegranate floods it with exactly what it needs to settle that stress. It also helps the body handle the blood fats called triglycerides, the very ones that get dumped into an overworked liver. About 1/4 to half a cup of the fresh seeds in the evening, sprinkled over yogurt, not the bottled sugary drinks, which strip out the fiber and leave you drinking something close to soda. 2 fruits remain, and the last one is the very fruit many people over 60 have been warned about. The 7th is papaya, the one almost nobody in this part of the world thinks to eat for the liver. It carries a natural enzyme called papain that helps break down protein and ease the digestive load. And it is full of antioxidants like beta-carotene and vitamin C that the liver leans on. In the places where papaya grows, it has been used for liver support for generations. It is gentle and low in sugar, which makes it a smart choice at night, because a sluggish, heavy digestion at bedtime only adds strain. About a cup of fresh papaya in the evening, with a squeeze of lime. And now, the fruit that has been waiting at the end of this list: grapefruit. It is one of the best fruits in the world for a fatty liver. It is rich in a compound called naringenin, the antioxidant behind its slight bitterness. And naringenin pushes the liver toward burning fat and reducing the fat stored inside its cells. Ounce for ounce, few fruits do more for the organ at the center of this story. So why are so many people warned away from it? Because grapefruit blocks an enzyme in the gut called CYP3A4. The very enzyme that breaks down many common medications. With it blocked, certain drugs can build up higher than intended. This matters most with some cholesterol statins and certain blood pressure pills. So here is the firm rule. Anyone taking prescription medication must not add grapefruit until a doctor or pharmacist has checked it against their exact list. For many, it is completely fine. For some, it is not. But before anyone reaches for a single one of these tonight, there is a line that has to be drawn honestly. These fruits support a liver that is fatty or stressed. They are not a cure for a liver already in serious trouble. There are warnings that are not fruit problems at all. Yellowing of the skin or the whites of the eyes. Pain or swelling in the upper right side of the belly. Dark urine. Swelling in the legs or the abdomen. Those are signs to see a doctor promptly, not to reach for a smoothie. Food is the foundation. It is not the whole house. Which brings us to a woman the doctor still remembers clearly. He calls her Margaret. She was 67, a retired school teacher, and she came in feeling fine, just tired, in a way she could not shake. The kind of tired she had already decided was simply old age. Her blood work told another story. Her ALT, that liver enzyme, was up, and an ultrasound showed a moderately fatty liver. She was stunned. She barely drank. She had always believed liver trouble belonged to other people. They did not begin with a prescription. They began with her evenings. Margaret had a quiet habit of winding down with a bowl of cereal or a couple of cookies most nights, right as her liver was meant to start its shift. They swapped it. Some nights, kiwi and a few blueberries. Other nights, half an avocado on toast, or apple slices with cinnamon. And she added a 10-minute walk after dinner. 3 months later, her ALT had come down toward normal, and the heavy tiredness had lifted. No miracle. She had simply given the organ its night shift back. Now, the recipe the doctor promised. He calls it the bedtime liver tonic, and it takes 2 minutes. Into a blender, 1 whole kiwi, peeled or scrubbed. A small handful of blueberries, about 1/4 cup. 1/4 of an avocado, for the glutathione and the healthy fat. 1/2 cup of plain unsweetened kefir or yogurt for the probiotics and the gut-liver connection. A splash of water and a small shake of real cinnamon. Blend it smooth and drink it about an hour before bed in place of the snack that used to undo the whole night. If a sensitive stomach acts up, skip the kefir and use plain water. Grapefruit is deliberately left out and kept separate, eaten on its own, and only if a doctor has cleared it. So here is exactly what to do tonight. Close the kitchen earlier so the liver starts its shift empty. Pick 1 fruit already in the house and eat a small portion an hour before bed. Make the bedtime tonic if the full effect is wanted. Add a 10-minute walk after dinner, which helps the muscles pull sugar from the blood before it ever reaches the liver. And if any prescription is involved, write down 1 question for the pharmacist this week. Is grapefruit safe with my list? But eating the right fruit at night is only half the picture. Because there is a habit that happens first thing in the morning. An ordinary, well-meaning breakfast habit that millions of people over 60 repeat every single day, that can quietly undo every bit of the good work done overnight. It puts the fat right back where no one wants it, before the day has even started. In the next video, the doctor walks through the morning routine that protects the liver and names the single most common breakfast mistake that feeds a fatty liver without anyone ever suspecting it. If tonight surprised you, what waits in the morning will change the way you eat the moment you wake up. Watch that one next.